Yes, but no, the plan was the plan and go in there and win. And, my teammates helped me in every way possible. They knew how important this game was to me. They knew the things behind it, so this whole week they just been letting me know they got my back. And today is sure. I don't get 9 assists without them making shots. So.
I wonder what other things were involved, Quadir Copeland. Probably the fact that Syracuse men's basketball let the guard walk 2 years ago, and tonight the senior got his revenge in NC State's 88-68 win over SU earlier tonight. We'll tell you all about the Orange's 4th straight loss and Copeland's payback against his former squad right here, right now on Orange Press Pass. Hello, everybody, and welcome into Orange Press Pass alongside Jake Klein and Ben Chadwick. I'm John Boccio. Great to have you guys here for the 88-68 NC State win over Syracuse here on Orange Press Pass. Guys, let's get your first thoughts off for it. Ben, we'll start with you.
This was embarrassing on all levels, Jake. I mean, you look at the top 2 scorers for Syracuse, it's Donnie Freeman and J.J. Starling combining for 41 points. It's over 60% of the scoring for the Orange today, and it wasn't cool. Like, they both had solid games, nothing crazy special for the two of them. The rest of the team shot 30% from the field. And on the defensive side, it was flat out embarrassing. I mean, once again, another 80-plus point game for the team that SU is losing to, and it seemed like there were only 2 D1 offensive players out there for the Orange. Embarrassing on all levels.
I don't know about embarrassing on all levels. I mean, NC State's a good team. That's a preseason team receiving votes, knocking on the door of the top 25, has spent time in the AP top 25. NC State's good, but what I do agree with you about is the defense. Just so bad from Syracuse, and it feels like it's time and time again. All year, Adrian Autry's been preaching, starts on the defensive end, starts on the defensive end. 88 points tonight against NC State. Something has got to change defensively for the Syracuse team.
Yeah, guys, you're absolutely right. And you talk about how this defense was bad. Well, NC State's offense was great heading into tonight, 4th in the ACC in points per game. And, well, they had it on full display. Let's show you how the full game went down with our game highlights. All right, Syracuse and NC State, and this one started out fast. NC State wins the tip-off, and laying it up for 2 was Darian Williams. You'll hear that name quite a lot tonight. And, well, here he is again, a 26-footer from deep. Quadir Copeland on the assist. You'll hear that one as well. So Williams puts the Wolfpack up 8. Donnie Freeman, a quick response for SU. He had 2 triples in the first half and 16 first-half points. SU within 1, just about 13 left to go. Quadir Copeland right down Broadway. 8 points, 6 assists in the first half alone against the Orange. But SU wasn't gone just yet. Nate King's his first 3-point attempt of the night. His first shot as well. He knocks that one down. SU within 6, 2.5 to play. Donnie Freeman hits his second triple, his only 2 triples of the game. Then 10 seconds to go. Kyle down low, bodies off his man, and gets the bunny in for 2. Syracuse down 4 heading into the locker rooms, and that was when NC State took over. Darian Williams, another trifecta. And oh wait, here he is again. You can't get much more wide open than that. NC State up 9 with 15.5 to play. Quadir Copeland comes right back down the lane, the and-one bucket, and gets Sadiq White to foul out with 11.5 minutes remaining. And then look at this play right here. Syracuse showing a little bit of life. William Kyle, an incredible block, and what happens on the other end? Nate George smokes the layup. Syracuse down 11. I mean, great athleticism on the block, but just not quite enough. And then this was when the chaos really started. Quadir Copeland, another jam down the lane to put NC State up 14 with just about 2 minutes to go. Got to have that guy against his former squad, and as you can see, things got really ugly. The Calvin Russell show happened in the Lenovo Center. And look at this one. The layup, Calvin Russell on the putback by itself, it seems. So Syracuse goes out with a 20-point defeat, 88-68, your final score from the Lenovo Center. Guys, I think Calvin Russell stepping into the game was basically all you had to see on this one, Ben.
Was that an own goal that we just watched from Calvin Russell there, Jake?
I don't know that I've seen that in a Syracuse game ever.
In his collegiate debut, the 5-star football player scores an own basket, an own bucket for the basketball team. I mean, this place is a carnival.
Yeah, certainly not the way you want to cap off a 20-point loss for your 4th loss in a row. I can tell you that much.
And like you guys talked about, the defense really poor in this one. Darian Williams, 23 points. Quadra Copeland ended with 19. Donnie Freeman, SU's leading scorer, with 24. All right, well, we were just watching the game on TV. Let's get the perspective of someone that was in Raleigh for this one. We bring in our reporter, Nate Cunningham. Nate, how's everything going?
Oh, man, it's going great down here. We're having a fun time, and they're a little changeover crew for the ice hockey team. So, I mean, Syracuse, they're lucky that the hardwood's out of here after today's performance.
Absolutely. You won't want to see that hardwood down there for much longer. And we've talked about Quadra Copeland a little bit already here, Nate, but I just want to know, what were your biggest takeaways from what he said in the presser after the game tonight?
Well, John, I think what I took away from Quadir is kind of like what you took away when you see Buffalo Chicken Dip. A lot of excitement and a lot of confidence. This is a guy that was absolutely electric in the press conference. He was flexing. He was doing sound. Every time Darian Williams tried to give a response, he had a comment looking through that stat sheet. I mean, this is a guy that knew coming into today, it didn't matter what type of Syracuse team he saw, he was going to beat them. The amount of energy that he was playing with throughout the game, and what I really think added onto it was after every bucket, after every play, even if he did something or not, whether it was an assist or even if it's just a teammate got a block, he was always looking at Syracuse's bench. He was always looking at Adrian Autry. He was making it a point to know, you didn't want me 2 years ago. You decided to send me to the Wolves, and now I'm coming back to get mine.
Yeah, and Nate, I mean, we all know how John gets around Buffalo Chicken Dip. We don't need to reenact that right now, but you could imagine. But Nate, I brought it up earlier in the show, and I'm curious. Donnie Freeman and J.J. Starling combined for 41 points in this game, which if you look at that in a vacuum is impressive, right? But as a team looking at that with a 20-point loss at their hands as well, is it really a positive for Syracuse to take away?
I think there is a positive that you could take from it, but there's also a negative. You mentioned the fact that this team lost by 20, right? You can't get over that fact, but the fact that you have guys that can score the way that J.J. Starling and Donnie Freeman can is a good thing. I think the downside with both of that is the fact that Nathan George went 2 for 12 from the field, and defensively, when this team went to their 2-3 zone, they couldn't grab a defensive rebound. I think when you partner those two things together, you can have all-time performances from Freeman and Starling. If you're not getting the supporting cast, it really doesn't matter.
Nate, this was more of the same at the end of the day for Syracuse. Another day, another loss, 4 in a row. Seats seems to be getting a little hot for Adrian Autry. What was his message after the game?
Well, I think his message was similar to how it's been over these last 3, but it was a little more dejected. It was a little more down. This was a guy that realizes maybe there's nothing that he has left to kind of change this team. He's tried everything that he has to create a different response. But it was interesting because somebody asked him about why he kept Sadiq White in the basketball game even though he had a bunch of fouls, and this was the most excited he got. He went out there and he said, oh, Sadiq was the only guy playing with some help. And then he immediately pulled that back and got back to his regular standards. So I think that you have this side where Adrian Autry doesn't quite know whether or not he has some more left in the tank or whether or not this season is fully chalked.
A scary thought to think about for head coach Adrian Autry. Nate, we thank you for your time and all of your great insight from down in Raleigh. All right, that's going to be all about that for us from now. So we'll take you into the break for just a moment where we'll dive even deeper into this 20-point SU loss. You won't want to miss it here on Orange Press Pass. Hello, everybody, and welcome back into our CitrusTV studios for some more Orange Press Pass. Syracuse falls to NC State 88-68. Guys, before we dive a little deeper into that matchup, let's take a look around the NCAA and see some of the other scores from tonight. Ben, what sticks out to you?
Well, first off, that is a pretty solid win for Arkansas, right? A 4-point win over a good team like Oklahoma, but mainly Michigan coming all the way back against number 5 Nebraska. They were down 11 in that second half. To get that 3-point win, it just goes to show Michigan might be the team to beat when it comes to March Madness.
I know they didn't win, but that shows me Nebraska is legit. How about a legit 20-0 Miami of Ohio team going down to the wire trying to stay undefeated, but Frank Martin incapable of submission. His team has won 4 of 5. UMass going down to the wire trying to knock them off.
The Minutemen.
One of the only undefeated teams left in college basketball. That's a gritty squad in the MAC. All right, let's dive a bit deeper into this 20-point loss for Syracuse, 88-68, your final score. We got to talk about the biggest topic. We heard from him earlier on the show. Quadir Copeland is the biggest culprit of all of the attention right now. And we had some interesting words come in on Twitter from former SU guard Judah Mintz, who said, this was a pretty tough result at the end of the day, and well, Quadir Copeland didn't necessarily get his fair shot, so that was a huge deal. And then Quadir Copeland after the game said, it's personal, it's going to be a show, it's going to be a great game to be back home, but it's definitely going to be personal for sure. That was even before the contest had started. Guys, what are your thoughts? I mean, clearly Quadir meant what he said in this one.
He absolutely did, John. This was just watching the game so much fun. Every single time that Quadir Copeland got a bucket, got a steal, got an assist, the crowd would erupt because they knew how much this game meant to him. His first time playing his former team in 2 years, his first chance to get sort of back at Coach Autry, right, who didn't really let him back on the team, and he made the most of it. This was, just from a basketball fan standpoint, so much fun to watch.
Yeah, Quadir Copeland's a fun player. Syracuse fans know that. Sometimes he's a fun player. He can also be incredibly frustrating at times. He loves a behind the back or a through the legs pass, even if it's probably not the right time for a behind the back or a through the legs pass. Tonight, it seemed like he was always making the right play. He's always active defensively, and he came up with 4 steals tonight in addition to a 19.9 assist game. I mean, the guy is just a winning player, and it's hard to believe that Syracuse would have let him walk. You watch a game like this and you say, boy, number 11 in white would sure look nice in Syracuse orange. Oh, wait, he was.
And you look at numbers like those as well, and you wonder, boy, how did the orange let him go?
Just like Judah Mintz had said earlier, how could you let Qua go earlier on? And then another comment had come in saying, oh, well, he needed to kind of settle down over at McNeese. And then Mintz came right back at him and said, well, if they gave him a fair chance, then who knows what would be going on right now. So a lot of ex-mayhem, so to say. But this game wasn't all about Quadir Copeland. Majority, sure. But it was also definitely about that second half where Syracuse goes into the break only down 4 and ends up losing by 20 points. Guys, this has been a topic for the last 3 games that we've covered on this show, but it just keeps popping up again and again and again, and we've just got to talk about it. Jake, what are your thoughts on the second half collapse?
It's nothing new. This team is terrible in the second half. They lost second halves to Mercyhurst, to Northeastern, and now 4 games in a row they've lost the second half, all losses in ACC play. And so I don't know that I'm surprised about it, but the fact that it continually happens over and over and over again. John, you mentioned it. 3 straight Orange Press Pass editions where we're talking about a terrible second half from Syracuse in a loss. It's the Albert Einstein definition of insanity, is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. A different result's not going to come if this keeps up.
We keep talking about it on Orange Press Pass because we keep having to. This keeps continuing to be the story of every single Syracuse game, and for the past few, every single Syracuse loss. Look, when you look at their average margin compared to whether they're winning or losing at halftime of the past 4 games, it's only -2. Now, they've lost the last 3 games by 31 combined points. This team crumbles in the second half. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, we saw it against Boston College.
Yes.
We saw it against Virginia Tech. And I mean, this offense has clearly not been the greatest, but the defense definitely hasn't helped either. I mean, you give up 88 points tonight. Yes, against a pretty good NC State offense. Once again, came into this game averaging just about over 85 points per game, 4th best in the ACC. But still, when you're Syracuse and your defense has played so well throughout the season, is that necessarily acceptable? Ben, what do you think?
Oh, John, just a week ago, this was a defense that was top 4 in the ACC in scoring defense. Now, albeit they had some teams that they went against earlier on in the season that helped that number out a little bit. You're already laughing. I cannot wait for your response. But that number was helped out a little bit. But regardless, this is a team that everyone thought had a good defense, right? This is a defensive team. The past 4 games, I mean, they're averaging well over 80 points given up to their opponent. And once again, their opponent is usually the winning opponent in those matches.
Yeah, Ben, it seems you've mistakenly bought stock into what Syracuse team showed up against Binghamton and Delaware State and Drexel, because anybody can play good defense against those teams. That's simply the way it works. Against real teams like NC State and plenty of the teams that Syracuse has coming up on the schedule, it has been rough, really rough defensively. I think it's in there somewhere, but for Adrian Autry to come out and say Sadiq White's the only guy trying, that's a concern in an 88-point game.
Yeah, absolutely. Once again, guys, Sadiq White fouled out with 11 and a half minutes left, and a lot of that was because they couldn't stop this guy, our player of the game, and this one was a pretty easy decision against his former team. Guard Quadir Copeland had 19 points, his second highest mark against an ACC team. 9 assists, also his second best mark in conference play, and 4 steals, tied for his best against a power conference foe in the senior's career. Not to mention, this all culminated to a 20-point win and brought NC State to its best start to conference play since the 05-06 season. So once again, Quadir Copeland, your player of the game. And just like that, we take a short break here on Orange Press Pass. When we come back, Jake and Ben, they'll be taking their pick. You won't want to miss it.
Dad, they took over my bedroom. Come on, come on. Okay, Dad. 1, 2, 3. Dad! You saved me. Dad?
Are you okay?
I'm fine, dear.
Your hero needs you now, and AARP is here to help. Find the care guides you need at aarp.org/caregiving.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back into Orange Press Pass. The Wolfpack steamrolled the Orange by 20 points, 88-68, your final score. That's Jake Klein. That's Ben Chadwick. I'm John Boccio. Now, guys, it is officially time to take your pick. All right, guys, first thing we got to talk about, we saw some pretty polarizing performances in the backcourt today. Heading into halftime, you had J.J. Starling and Nate George, who had just a combined 7 points on 3 of 13 shooting. So, guys, the first take your pick. Ben, we'll start with you. Would you switch up anything about this backcourt moving forward?
I really wouldn't, John. I would say let it ride, right? At this point in the season, let the backcourt ride. J.J. Starling, he will never be on the hot seat for what he's done for Syracuse and what he continues to do in the second half. He was SU's second leading scorer.
He's never made a tournament. He's done nothing for Syracuse.
Well, today he still showed up for the Orange. So that's
in a 20-point loss.
Sure, but who are you going to replace Starling with? But what I'm saying is, even when it comes to Nate George, that's a player who was good at Georgia Tech, Right, so, and he's a player who could stay at Syracuse barring any transfer portal moves out of him this offseason. These are two guys that one, J.J. Starling is a veteran of the Orange and has put in so many good minutes for SU. And Nate George has proved on other teams he could be a good player. Just a matter of if he could do it with SU.
Yeah, I don't think he can. I would make a change. And the way I look at it is, I don't think this is a coaching thing that's telling Nate George to go down the court and take an uncontested three without a pass, 25 seconds left on the shot clock, 5 to 6 times a game. There's no coach telling him to do that. He's doing that on his own. He's not playing well. And look, frankly, Syracuse is not going to make the NCAA tournament at this point. I think the three of us all agree on that.
Yes.
If you want to keep Kai and Anthony in the future for Syracuse, whether or not that future involves Adrian Autry, you might as well get the kid some minutes. He's playing pretty well. He doesn't get a ton of opportunity. Syracuse is not going anywhere this season. Try something while you can.
But are you saying to put Kai and Anthony in for J.J. Starling or Nate George?
I would probably take George out because I think Starling has been the more consistent player. You can let Starling run the point and get Kai and Anthony some more minutes.
Starling and Anthony are both score first type of players. I think having them both on the court at the same time is going to be somehow even more catastrophic than what Syracuse basketball already is.
Look, I don't think it's perfect, but boy, Nate George has been so unimpressive to this point this season. I was excited for him. He's really underwhelmed me.
Guys, speaking of expectations and aspirations, they've all pretty much gone down the drain for this year. It's clear that this team's ceiling has heavily declined from where it was even just a month ago. So with that, we talk about all these new additions and things that we could change in the lineup. Reminder, the bench only scored 12 combined points in this one, 3 of them coming from Calvin Russell. But either way, if you could go back into the offseason right now, teleport into Adrian Autry's spot, would you change anything about this roster? Jake, we'll go to you first.
Well, first of all, I would not want to teleport into Adrian Autry's spot right now. I'll tell you that much.
Absolutely not.
But look, I would make changes. And I said it. I don't think it's a coaching thing. I think there's personnel issues on this team. There's clearly not a high drive defensively. I think you need better defensive players. I thought they made defensive improvements this offseason over the previous year, bringing in a good rim protector in William Kyle and a good 3-and-D guy in Nate Kings. Tyler Betsy was made out to be a solid defender. This is a terrible defensive team once again. I need better defenders. And like I said, Syracuse needs a better point guard. I think we thought Jaquan Carlos last year was going to be the true point guard. Clearly he was not. And then people said, okay, well, this time we got the true point guard in Nate George. I don't think he's a true point guard either. The assist to turnover ratio is awful compared to where it was last year at Georgia Tech.
Well, the one compliment I'm going to give to Adrian Autry right now is that he did a good job in the offseason, and I think he brought in some really good players that Syracuse should be winning basketball games with right now. The players are not the problem. It does boil down to the coaching, because when you look at these players, Nate George was a fantastic facilitator at a fellow ACC school. He was dishing out assists left and right. He was a playmaker. He was that pass-first point guard for Georgia Tech. You look at Nate Kings. He had a top 5 3-point percentage in the entire country. William Kyle didn't do much stat-wise at UCLA. Now he's blowing up with the Orange. Tyler Betsy has so much potential, a Connecticut Player of the Year for Gatorade in high school as well. So these are all players, and obviously the recruiting class with Kai and Anthony and Sadiq White is one of the best we've seen from Syracuse in quite some time. The players are not the problem. It's the coaching, which is why a lot of people are having talks about said coaching.
Again, I don't think Adrian Autry is telling Nate George to run up the floor and shoot a three-pointer without a pass 5 seconds into the shot clock. I refuse to believe he's doing that.
Something's going wrong.
I think
we can agree that something's going wrong.
Correct.
Yeah, I think that's probably the majority decision.
Probably fair of us to say that.
Once again, NC State 88, Syracuse 68. Hey guys, remember when Syracuse had the best defense in the country in points per game earlier this year?
Yeah, after they played Delaware State.
Nice. Yeah. Just saying, just throwing it out there because, I mean, wow, has everything gone down the drain since then? All right, that's all we've got for Take Your Pick. Coming up, we've got our Sound Off segment and what to look forward to for Syracuse and Orange Press Pass. OPP Sounds Off in just a moment.
I see you mobbing over her. Let's go. Let's mob. Let's crawl. Let's crawl. Let's crawl. Hey, yo, we mobbing. Come on, girl. Let's crawl. Hey, yo, let's crawl. Hey, yo, let's crawl. Hey, let's crawl. Hey, yo, let's crawl.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back into Orange Press Pass. Jake Klein, Ben Chadwick, I'm John Boccio. Before we get into our final thoughts and takeaways from this one, let's check out the upcoming schedule for Syracuse men's basketball. You've got Notre Dame next up on Saturday, then back-to-back ranked foes against number 16 UNC and number 17 Virginia. Both of them on the road, guys. This was a tough one, and it doesn't look much easier looking forward.
Well, John, Notre Dame is not a great basketball team. I think we can all admit that, but I don't think anyone could feel optimistic about Syracuse in any basketball game the rest of this season, no matter who they're playing. I mean, we're talking down on the Orange here on Orange Press Pass a whole lot. I think on Irish Press Pass, if that exists, they're talking down on the Fighting Irish as well. I mean, these are two really bad basketball teams, and yet I still think Notre Dame is the better one.
And it doesn't get much easier after those 4 games. You still got Duke, Louisville, another game with North Carolina, all on the horizon.
Yeah, a very difficult schedule is upcoming, and times may get even scarier for Syracuse. But before we get to more of the upcoming stuff with SU men's hoops, let's sound off.
Now, folks, you might not want to admit it, but everyone has to realize that the legacy for Syracuse men's basketball is fading. Each year in the post-Jim Boeheim era continues to be more disappointing than the last. Not only is this a team that has struggled in the last handful of years, it's a program that is losing its luster and attractiveness to fans and players. And it's an entire school that is losing its athletic identity. Syracuse University is a basketball school that can't win basketball games. The former national championship winning program, who would be expected to make deep March Madness runs every year, is all but confirmed to be missing its 5th straight tournament. This is a downfall that has effects much larger than the team itself.
I'll tell you what the problem is. I'm bored. Syracuse basketball has never been boring. Was it always the best team in the country? No, but it was always alive. You turned on a Syracuse game because you didn't know what was coming. A wild run, a defensive stand at the end of the game, a night where the Dome felt like it could swallow an opponent whole. Chaos was always part of the deal, and that was the fun of it. Now every game feels like a rerun. Same script, same story, same ending. You can tell how it's going to go 10 minutes in. Sometimes you can tell how it's going to go before the tip-off, and it doesn't go well. That's the worst part. Losses happen, struggles happen, even when Syracuse was great. But boredom's how you lose a fan base. And as we sit here right now, Syracuse basketball just isn't very interesting.
Well, some very strong words from Ben and Jake here about the current state of Syracuse men's basketball. Maybe they turn things around just a little bit in its next time out against Notre Dame. We'll have your Orange Press Pass on Saturday for that one, but Catholicism in Cuse is on the horizon, guys.
I guess so. Look, Notre Dame's not the greatest team in the world, but at this point, neither is Syracuse. This is just another one of those ACC games, like taking a walk with Robert Frost. Could go either way.
There you go. I mean, we watched and broke down a 20-point loss for Syracuse tonight. I hope the Orange Press Pass crew for this one has a closer game, as they should, with a much worse Notre Dame team compared to NC State. But my goodness, I mean, this team just keeps trudging along, like you just said, Jake.
Get those watching sweaters on, because on Saturday we've got Syracuse and Notre Dame. Feisty Leprechaun versus Citrus Fruit. Guys, that's all we've got from here for Jake Klein and Ben Chadwick. It has been quite the Orange Press Pass, where Syracuse falls by 20 points to NC State in Quadir Copeland's revenge game against the Orange. Wow, what a result. Thanks to all our producers here on Orange Press Pass. For John Boccio and crew, we say goodnight.